In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use two lines that will help you become a better day trader, swing trader, and long-term investor. So sit back, take some notes, and let's get into it. Alright guys, in this video, we're going to talk about just two magic lines. These magic lines are going to give you the best possible entries no matter what time frame you're doing your trades on. But before we get into that, don't forget to like the video, share, and subscribe. It helps us grow this channel. That way we can make really good content for you and everyone else out there in the markets. So the lines that we're going to talk about is support lines and then trend lines. Okay, we're going to use those lines together to give ourselves a trading edge. So let's look at the charts and see how we can put both of those together. So I have a chart here. This is stock DT. So let's start with my swing traders and long-term investors first. One thing we want to do is we want to look at the big picture. If you look at the big picture for those style of trades, we want to change our time frame to a weekly chart. So as you can see, we dipped really hard back in 2021 on this stock. We traded flat in 2022. In 2023, we're finally starting to recover a little bit here. So there's a few things that we need to identify first, and that is our support lines. And if you're on Thinkorswim, what you can do is you can go over here to drawings, drawing tools, and you can draw support lines. Right here on DT, there's a support line around the $45 level, and I'm going to draw that out and show you. The reason we have that is because we tested this level, then rallied, came back and back tested actually the $50 level. We tested again, rejected, broke through and rejected again, and then finally held support around that $45 level. If you want more videos on support and resistance lines, we have a video on our YouTube channel. Go ahead and check that out with our other content out there. So one thing that we can do is we can actually draw another line, which is going to be this 55. And the reason we're drawing 55 is because we had some activity around 55 here, a little bit right here, but immediately rejected, came back, tested it. So we back tested a place that we broke through, so that's a key level. Then we completely rejected it here, and then looks like right now we blasted through it here eventually in the last time. So we have two lines that we identified as potential entries or exits on trading. Remember, you always look at your exits when it comes to resistance lines. So our resistance line is going to be this $55 mark here. But what about the entry? Well, the entry, we're going to talk about our trend lines. So let's remember, a trend line is established whenever a stock makes a high, a higher low, a higher high, a higher low, and a higher high. So we have established an upward trend on a long-term chart here, but if you actually noticed, our trend starts here. And there's a reason I'm going to draw this line out the way it is, because I actually didn't have it here. Alright, so our trend line actually starts here. And the reason it starts here is because we blasted up, but we came back down. We tried to make a higher high, but we didn't. We actually retraced back. So that trend has broken to where the start of a new trend is right here. So we ran up, came down, ran up higher than this point, and now we came down again. It looks like we found support. This is where the magic happens, guys. We found support on a trend line that lines up almost to the dollar with a support zone at $45. That tells me that $45 is a super bullish buy point on a stock that is technically now bullish. And as you can see, as soon as we touch on this red candle here, we rejected that, or we supported that trend line, and it looks like we're establishing support. And if we go to a shorter term time frame, a year-to-date chart, you can see we really touched it and bounced right off, have a green engulfing candle right here. Green engulfing because this candle is bigger than this red candle, so it engulfs that candle, right? And as you can see, we're starting to go upward on this stock. It's at 46.44. It actually hit a high of 46.84 that day. And guys, it's on track to go towards a target of $55 a share. That's a 20% move in only a short amount of time. Expect this move to be 1, 2, 3 months. And we have earnings coming up, so you can actually see a rally to the upside because this stock did great at the last earnings. If we go to it, let me zoom in. It's hard to see here. Why can't I get that to go? Let's see here. Let me do that. Then we do this, and then see if that comes up. Alright, that's not it. Let's see. Let's see if I can find the date for that. 2/8. Oh yeah, they actually beat earnings, they beat the EPS, and they beat revenue. So guys, they had great earnings. They just sold off. That whole sector sold off. And then now it looks like they're starting to find support, and you could see a rally to the upside on a good possible stock trade here. But there's another one I want to look at, and that stock is going to be INTC. Yes, Intel. So Intel, one more time for my longer term traders, let's look at this. Let's go to our big picture. All right. Our big picture, we see some support. If I draw this one out, let's see. Right here, and the reason we're drawing it here is because we touched, technically you can consider this 4250. They're not always exactly to the same cent, but we tested this range. All right, and it looks like our next zone is right here, and looks like right here for 4750. All right, so now that I got my lines drawn out here, we can see that we're testing the 4250, and it looks like we actually rejected it and went straight up, going towards 4750. But a beautiful thing is, let's draw our trend lines. So our trend starts here because we finally started going up, and as you can see, we touched a lot right here, and we broke through here technically, but came back up, broke through here, came back up. You want to line this thing up to where you're following this strong trend, and then we had a breakout. So we are looking for an entry around 40.35 to 41.53. You really don't want to look for a bull opportunity until you broke through this support line, which we did here. So the fact that we did that, I can go to a shorter term chart now. And as you can see, we pretty much drew that right on the money almost. I mean, I could probably do that a little bit to be a little tighter right here, but we fell through and came right back up. So that could have been a fake out for somebody. However, most of the time, you saw on the other chart, you see on this chart right here, we have support around the 41.50 zone. We touched the trend line at $40.59. Immediately bounced right up. That would have been a great entry at 41.66. And as you can see, looks like we are going straight up, heading towards that $47, $48 mark. So that's also another awesome trade that you can make in the short amount of time to see a big explosive move in INTC. But now let me talk to my day traders a little bit, because I know we got some day traders who follow us. DJT is an example I wanted to show. So we're day trading, we're setting up trend lines. We want to establish the major support zones. So if we do that, we have 50 as a solid zone here, and we want to identify this gap. So we had a gap around right here, and we're going to go ahead and just do where the gap actually happened. And what I'm going to do is go down to my 20-day 1-hour chart. Okay, so my 20-day 1-hour chart, you see an explosive move to the upside. Well, some people are thinking, hey, you got an uptrend right here. Let me go to my trend lines. Some people might think that you have an uptrend right here because we're going straight up. We pulled back a little bit, touched, and it looks like we did that, and it looks like it's supporting a line about right there. So it came up, pulled back, came up, pulled back. But you see when it went up again, it stopped at $72.50. It did not go any higher than $75. So we actually stopped here. So that means that this trend is broken. And as you can see, the price actually broke through and held lower. But now there's something else I want to show you that has formed here. So if we draw this line here, and I need to get my arrow so I can make it a little more accurate. If you can see, we have that high and that high, and we almost had that high right there. So we can get a little tighter if we go to the 5-day 5-minute. And if we go to our 5-day 5-minute and we actually do this, you can see where we established a trend right here. And that is at this point, we started going lower, then we made a lower high, and it looks like we just broke through this trend line finally, but the fact that we tested this level again tells me that we have established a downtrend forming right here. So this is a great opportunity for a downtrend. I'm going to do this a different color just so we can see what's going on. We'll make that a nice pretty blue. But as you can see, when we got around the $68 level and we started testing this blue line, we saw a complete rejection and we came down all the way to honestly a support zone around $60. If you see where we rejected here, touched here, and are holding firm at 60. Longer term, you could actually see a touch to 58 to where we start to do this gap because we already had a gap fill. Or you could see a really strong downward spiral to 50 if we break through that $58 mark. So that is something you can utilize on the day trading side. You basically set up your long-term support resistance zones. Try to identify any trends you can. And if you see right here's a perfect example to where we came up, and then rejected. But let's do one more thing here. let's make sure our resistance line lines up with that trend line, because if it doesn't, what's the point, guys? Remember everything we started at the beginning of the video? The trend needs to line up with the support zone. So vice versa, a downward trend needs to line up with a resistance zone. So let me draw it and see what's going on at that rejection point. And as you can see, we actually have a strong resistance zone at 70 because we broke through, we held the support, broke through, came back, tested for a minute, came back down. And then right here, we tested where it lines up with the trend line to where this would have been a safe bet to short it at 70, run a tight stop at like $71, $72, and risk $1 to make, let's see, $10. So that is that's called what we call a 10R multiple. That's when you're risking $1 to make $10, or you're risking $100 to make $1,000. If you have a big account, you're risking $10,000 to make $100,000. Guys, it takes finding setups like this, one trade at a time, to become a great trader. And all you got to do at the end of the day is join our TradeUI group, join that Discord in the description below. Check out the other YouTube channels we have, and lastly, check out TradeUI system, guys. It has powerful indicators where you can get in on moves like this, and you can catch these trades in real time.